The wind howled across the endless white desert of Greenland. Snowflakes danced in the air, covering everything in a thick frozen blanket. Dr. Emily Carter pulled her coat tighter around her body as she adjusted her goggles. "This is incredible," she said, staring at the radar screen inside their small research station. "The ice is shifting, and something big is underneath." Next to her, Jake, a young geologist, tapped on the screen. "It looks like a structure, but how can that be? There's nothing here except ice." The team of 5 scientists had come to Greenland to study climate change. They never expected to find anything other than ice and rock. But their instruments had detected something deep below. Something man-made. "We have to check it out," said Ryan, the team's engineer. With their snowmobiles packed, they set off towards the mysterious location. After hours of traveling through the harsh Arctic wind, they reached the spot. The ground beneath them looked like any other part of the frozen wasteland. But when they started digging, their shovels hit something solid. "Metal," said Sophia, the team's historian. She brushed away the ice, revealing a large steel door covered in frost. The faded letters on it read, "Camp Century." Emily's heart pounded. This was a military base from the Cold War. "How is it still here?" Jake whispered. They exchanged excited glances. No one had stepped inside this place for decades. What secrets were hidden beneath the ice? With a deep breath, Emily reached for the door handle. "Let's find out." The door creaked open, revealing a dark tunnel leading deep into the ice. The past was waiting for them. The air inside the tunnel was thick and stale. The scientists' breath formed small clouds as they stepped cautiously into the dark passageway. Their flashlight beams cut through the dust, revealing metal walls covered in frost. "This place has been sealed for decades," Sophia whispered, running her gloved fingers over the rusted pipes. They moved deeper inside, their footsteps echoing through the silence. The tunnel led to a large chamber filled with old equipment, metal desks, filing cabinets, and broken chairs scattered across the floor. A large map of the Arctic hung on the wall, the paper yellowed with age. Jake brushed off the frost and read the words printed at the top. "Camp Century, U.S. Army Research Project." Emily's eyes widened. This wasn't just a research station, it was a secret military base. Ryan flipped open a dusty file on one of the desks. Inside were blueprints and handwritten notes. "They built this place to test nuclear power in extreme conditions," he said, scanning the pages. "It even had a nuclear reactor to generate electricity." Sophia picked up an old newspaper lying on the table. The date read 1964. "That means they abandoned it over 50 years ago," she murmured. As they explored further, they found rows of metal bunk beds, a dining hall with rusted trays, and a control room filled with old monitors and switches. One of the screens had a faded label, "ICBM launch coordinates." Emily's stomach tightened. "This wasn't just a science project," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "They were planning to launch missiles from here." The team exchanged uneasy glances. What else had the past buried beneath the ice? And more importantly, why had the military left in such a hurry? A deep rumble echoed through the frozen corridors as the team moved deeper into the base. The ice above them creaked, a reminder that the structure had been buried for over half a century. "We should be careful," Ryan warned, shining his flashlight on a long crack running across the ceiling. "The ice is shifting." They pressed on, determined to uncover the truth. In a dimly lit storage room, Emily spotted a heavy metal door marked "Restricted Area, Authorized Personnel Only." The words were barely visible beneath layers of frost. "This must be important," she said, wiping the ice away. Jake pulled on the handle, but it didn't budge. "Frozen shut." Ryan grabbed a crowbar from his pack and wedged it into the gap. With a loud groan, the door finally gave way. A blast of cold air rushed out, carrying a strange metallic scent. Inside, rows of steel barrels lined the walls, each stamped with faded radiation symbols. Yellowed papers lay scattered across the floor, some with words like hazardous waste and containment failure. Emily's stomach twisted. This isn't just an old base. They left dangerous materials behind. Sophia picked up a document from a rusted filing cabinet. She read aloud. Due to increased ice movement, containment stability cannot be guaranteed. Immediate evacuation recommended. They knew the ice was unstable, she murmured, but instead of cleaning up, they just left everything behind. Ryan pulled out his radiation scanner and waved it over one of the barrels. The device let out a soft beep. It's low, but still active, he said grimly. If the ice keeps shifting, these containers could break open. A sudden crack split the silence. The ground trembled beneath their feet, and a chunk of ice fell from the ceiling, smashing onto the floor. We have to get out of here, Jake said, his voice urgent. Emily's mind raced. The past wasn't just a history lesson, it was a ticking time bomb. If they didn't act fast, this forgotten secret could become a modern disaster. The ice groaned like a living creature, deep and restless beneath their feet. Another crack splintered across the ceiling, sending small chunks of ice tumbling down. We have to secure these barrels, Emily said, her voice firm but urgent. If they rupture, the radiation could spread. Ryan adjusted his scanner, the soft beeping growing more frequent. We don't have much time. The ice is moving faster than we thought. The team split up. Jake and Ryan worked to reinforce the most fragile barrels, using whatever materials they could find. Old straps, metal beams, and even pieces of frozen tarp. Sophia and Emily searched the control room for any data that could help them understand the situation better. Look at this, Sophia said, wiping frost off a broken monitor. The screen flickered weakly, displaying a map of the underground tunnels. Red warning symbols flashed over key sections. Emily scanned the map. These are stress points. If we don't stabilize them, the whole structure could collapse. Just then, a loud boom shook the base. Jake's voice crackled through the radio. One of the tunnels just caved in. We need to get out of here now. Emily's pulse quickened. They had only managed to secure half of the barrels. Was it enough? She didn't know, but they couldn't risk staying any longer. Grab what you can, she said. We need to warn the world about this place. The team rushed toward the exit, their boots slipping on the icy ground. The tunnel behind them groaned one last time. Then, with a deafening roar, part of the ceiling collapsed, sealing off the chamber they had just left. They barely made it out. As they reached the surface, gasping for breath in the freezing air, Emily turned back and watched as the ground shifted, swallowing the entrance to Camp Century once again. They had escaped, for now. But the danger still lurked beneath the ice, waiting for the day when the past would rise again. The freezing wind howled as the team stood outside the buried entrance of Camp Century. Their breaths came in short, sharp gasps, their bodies shivering from the cold and from the weight of what they had just escaped. Emily tightened her grip on the notebook she had grabbed from the base. Inside were detailed records of the hazardous materials and warnings about the instability of the ice. This was the proof they needed. We can't just leave it like this, Jake said, looking back at the collapsed tunnel. What if the ice shifts again? What if those barrels break open in the future? Emily nodded. We need to act now. If we leave this problem for someone else, it could be too late. They quickly radioed their research station and sent an emergency transmission to environmental authorities. While they waited for help, the team did everything they could to stabilize the site. Ryan and Jake used satellite trackers to mark the location of the buried base, ensuring that it would never be forgotten again. Sophia cross-checked old documents to find any blueprints or safety procedures left behind. Emily recorded video evidence explaining the dangers hidden beneath the ice. After what felt like hours, the distant hum of helicopters filled the sky. A team of scientists and military experts arrived, their faces grim as they listened to the team's report. "We'll take it from here," one of the officials said, shaking Emily's hand. "Thanks to you, we have a chance to prevent a disaster." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the frozen land in golden light, the team took one last look at the Arctic landscape. "This place holds so many secrets," Sophia said softly. "But the biggest lesson, the past isn't just history. It can shape our future." Emily smiled. "And it's our responsibility to protect that future." With that, they boarded the helicopter, leaving behind the icy shadows of Camp Century. But they knew their mission wasn't over. The world needed to know the truth before the ice decided to reveal it on its own.